Hello, and welcome to Hard Copy from our channel's television studios in Abuja. I'm Kayla Magwa. We stay on the topic of governance tonight, and this week on the program, we celebrate Democracy Day and remember the nation that was on June the 12th, 1993. Parallels are being drawn between the elections then and the elections we're about to have in less than a year. And pundits posit that we have degenerated as a people, and our political class has become more self-centered than ever before in our nation's history, revealing itself in election corruption and a general sense of unpatriotic conduct across board among the Nigerian people. Weaponized poverty has turned us into monsters, they say, and while the Tinubu administration didn't cause the rot, they say he isn't fixing it either. In fact, his policies, they believe, have made things so much worse. And it's not because the policies are bad themselves. No, many believe that he could have executed it better, put safety nets that could cushion their impact. While the president tried to mop the floor, the carpet, they say, was swept from under the feet of the Nigerian. And the Nigerian fell with a mighty thud on the floor and is still unable to get up as we speak. So when we hear people like my guest defending the Tinubu administration, it's no surprise that he's met with a lot of criticism. People like him have been accused of defending the indefensible. These are the people accused of telling the president everything is fine when everything is not fine. My guest went viral not too many moons back, trying to give us perspectives to the issues bedeviling us as a people: insecurity, the economy, politics. An article from Sahara Reporter said, quote, George, which is my guest's name, George's malady interpretation ranged from basic spin to completely fabricated realities. George piously engaged in spinning half-truths, the most common form of dishonesty. My guest will respond to the names he has been called tonight and maybe help us understand the impatience he says the Nigerian people have when it comes to President Tinubu, and just how many years we have to wait for our democracy to be truly of the people, for the people, and by the people. Political scientist and APC Chieftain Obafemi George joins us tonight on Hard Copy. Mr. Obafemi George, welcome to Hard Copy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Kela. Good to see you.
I've been watching you online.
Thank you.
How do you respond to a lot of the criticism? People say you're spinning half-truths, defending the indefensible. You're among the people who are telling the president what he wants to hear and things like that.
That's quite surprising. I'm not given to emotional arguments. So I want to ask those people that the World Bank report that was released 2 days ago that says that what the president has done economically we're facing the right direction, is that half-truth? The S&P report that was released 15th of May, just last month, that did say that the blocks that you have put in place to turn around the economy, that these are enviable track record. Is that half-truth? Is it half-truth that investors are coming in and they are saying that this president has done what president could not do, that he has taken very hard but necessary decisions? Is that also half-truth? So they should tell me. There's nothing I have said that is not backed up by data, so this is not my opinion. Like I said, World Bank MD came to Nigeria in February. Before this report of yesterday, came to Nigeria in February, MD operations, and said that the economic reforms of President Tinubu has become a case study globally. That is World Bank MD operations. So I keep wondering, where are they getting their own information? Where are they?
From the Nigerians on the street. So
which street?
While you are telling us
Kela,
about World Bank,
which street?
While you are showing us
which
World
street?
Bank figures and we're hearing, everything you said has been in the news. The question has always been translating those things that we're hearing to the pocket of the Nigerian. Can you honestly say that the Nigerian is doing better? That the quality of life of the Nigerian has been better since Tinubu came into office?
Kela,
can you honestly say that?
I will ask you one question, and please be very factual. The day you were born, was that the same day you grew up to this height?
No.
No. So nature should tell us that things happen in process. Governance is not about the president, it's about the people. And that's why they say governance is a continuum. So this is not just about president, this is about Nigeria. Is laying solid foundation, which I consider blocks for irreversible multidimensional prosperity that global rating agencies have alluded to. Mm-hmm. See, when a nation wants to grow, there are something that must be in place. Infrastructure, investment in tertiary institutions, health sector, power sector, and those are things that have been aggressively done. Once those things are in place, the micro that people are talking about, it's a natural byproduct. That would happen automatically on its own. Keller, the S&P result that was released last month, they did say that if we stay on track, if we don't desist from this trajectory, that by 2028, in less than 2 years, we'll have a single-digit inflation. Do you know what that means?
Mr. George, you've not answered my question. I've heard what you said. We've heard these figures. He has an economic team. They're here. They come here.
Yes.
They tell us everything that's going good. But you see, it doesn't translate. And the question I've asked you...
And that's what I've just told you.
What you said, it will happen automatically. You said it will happen automatically on its own. When? Yes. How long will it take? How long should a Nigerian wait, in your view? How long should we wait? The president, if he wins the next election, has at least 8 years in office. Would 8 years be enough?
8 years will be more than enough. So and I'll tell you what.
In 8 years, you think we'll turn this around?
His target is that by 2030, we'll have a $1 trillion economy. And I believe it. What I'm doing, I'm a man of passion. And I believe it. That we can move, today we are $348 billion economy. That we can get to $1 trillion economy by 2030. And the question is how? Can we get there? Yes. Can Tinubu take us there? Yes.
In 8 years?
Yes, because he has the track record. When he became governor of Lagos in 1999, Lagos' economy was less than $15 billion US. Today, the economy is $248 billion. So if a man moved the economy of a state from less than $15 billion to $248 billion US in 20 years, then he can move a national economy from $348 billion to $1 trillion in less than 8 years.
How do you feel about the complaints? I know that I heard you talk about social media and how people can just take one narrative and run with it on social media.
Which you'll agree with me, it's true.
And how people can spin political statements because of the season that we're in.
Absolutely.
Do you think the quality of life of the Nigerian right now is in a good place? Can you really say that?
And what I tell you, Kayla, this is a temporary situation.
Okay.
And I tell Nigerians, I say, listen, I believe in a maxim out there that says... Is it the
president's fault? Is it those policies when he came in, are those the things responsible for the quality of life of the Nigerian in your view right now?
What he has done with the necessary steps he needed to take as a leader. Every preceding president that we've had knew that subsidy was killing us. Killer, 12 years ago, a CBN governor, during Jonathan's period, came out and shouted and said, any president, any government that takes over, that succeeds Jonathan, will face serious economic headwind.
You know what the issue is?
Yes.
It's not the policies that are the problem. Even during the campaigns.
Yes.
Almost every politician said they were going. I don't know anyone who has said he's not going to do it.
He's not going to remove subsidy.
So everyone said they were going to do it. But what they're saying is that he didn't put the necessary cushions in place. You don't rip carpets off of people and wonder why they fell on the floor. Kayla. You have to be able to plan it and do it properly. They're saying that the planning wasn't done.
Kayla, let me tell you something. If you're dealing with an institutionalized institution, and when I say institutionalized, I'm sure you know that subsidy started in 1977, almost 50 years ago. It was President Obasanjo that introduced subsidy. When the oil boom of late 70s began to disappear, that was why they introduced the Decree 33 of 1977. That says, okay, what? Let us peg the price of liter, the price of 1 liter of fuel to 15 kobo. And that whatever the shortfall, government will augment, which was meant to be for just 2 years. That, okay, during that time, they will build 2 refineries. And truly, Obasanjo delivered on Warri Refinery and Kaduna Refinery. But by the time he left and politicians came in, corruption crept in. And everybody from that time till Jonathan's period knew that subsidy had to go, including the late President Manu Buhari. And why didn't they remove it? Because they all knew that any president, any politician that does remove subsidy will be an unpopular government. So you know what they kept doing? They kept postponing the evil day. For such a policy, you don't give the cabal enough time. It's not the kind of policy you come in and say, oh, let's put together a team, let's evaluate what's going to happen if you don't subsidy. No, they won't let you do it. In fact, they can bring down your government because these are powerful people making trillions on the back of Nigeria. So it's not a policy you deliberate on.
So it is the fear of the cabal that made him not to put the necessary cushions for the Nigerian people? It's not the fear of the cabal. It is being street smart, knowing fully well that, you know what, this has to be done immediately. And that's why when he was sworn in, within 20 minutes, that was the first thing that he did while he was delivering his speech. That, you know what, subsidy is gone and gone forever. While we hear this, we've heard this multiple times. Oh, there was no money. We met a lot of rot. There was nothing going on at the time. But the spending...
There was no revenue.
But the spending on government didn't reduce. The spending didn't reduce. We kept seeing more money being spent. I said governance. The spending on governance, buying of cars, new houses, new cutlery. Everything was being bought all over again. No prudence from the side of the government so that the Nigerian people can feel like, okay, we're tightening belts all around. There's no money in government. But what happened was we kept hearing the government say, there's no money for us to do anything. But they themselves were not being prudent with spending.
Which government are you referring to? This government?
That's what the Nigerian people were looking at.
Let me tell you, when it came in 2023, like I said, we were broke. NRS, then IRS, generated only 3 trillion naira for 2023. And remember that when this president was governor of Lagos State, the first thing he did when he took over Lagos State, because Lagos State was like any other state in the country, when he took over, IGR was 600 million naira per annum. He moved it to 6 billion because he knew that the stepping stone, the first step in building an economy is to make sure that you're generating money, is to rejig your tax system. And in 2023, from 3 trillion, now we moved to 22 trillion naira. So whatever he's spending right now to sustain the government, he's generating it. And we see, like I said, don't just make your comment based on my own opinion. International agencies, World Bank, IMF, have alluded to what we're doing. They've alluded to it. So I say, he's borrowed. I was on a show today and I was telling them, they said, we want to borrow $5 billion. I'm looking for $5 billion. And I said to them, can you show me one nation that doesn't fund infrastructure by borrowing? The same IMF said to us that the threshold for borrowing is 55%. Your debt to GDP ratio must not exceed 55%. That if it goes beyond that, it is unhealthy.
Kayla,
what is our debt to GDP ratio as of today?
Would we be borrowing
32%.
so much? Would we be borrowing so much if this government cut down its spending? Do you think? Let's be honest here. Would we be borrowing as much as we are borrowing right now if some of the spending on the part of this administration was cut down?
How much are they spending? Because the current bill for this year and this budget is 15 trillion naira. That's the current bill for this year and this 16 trillion naira budget. Compared to the humongous amount of infrastructure that is being developed and the borrowing that is being taken to fund the infrastructure. See, let me tell you something. I understand that we and as Nigerians, and I'm including myself, over the years, there has been a distrust between the governed and the government.
Why do you think that is?
Because previous governments haven't delivered.
Has this government delivered?
This government is delivering. And they will see, the greatest defense this government would have is not me or you or Mr. Sunday Dare or Mr. Daniel Bwala. No. The greatest this government would have is posterity. You and I will sit down like this 10 years' time, God keeping us 2036, and we will look back and we say to ourselves, we had the best president and we did not know. Mark my word. We don't need to argue that right now. Let's come back 10 years' time.
The best president?
I said,
since when?
Mark my word. In 10 years' time,
what range?
You and I would sit down.
Since when? Since 1999? Or when?
Since whenever.
Since the history of this country.
By the achievement.
You're saying President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the best president we've had in this country.
I said,
since 1960.
In 10 years' time. Let's not argue about it today. I'm making a statement on national TV. 2036, God will keep us alive. We will have this conversation and we will look back. We will look back and reference 8 years of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
We started our conversation, before we go on the break, we started by saying that, you're not saying any half-truths and you were responding to the criticism that you've gotten online, and I'm sure it was a lot. I'm sure it was massive. I was looking at it. Even I didn't like a lot of it because it was a lot of vitriol against you. But it's a lot of understandable vitriol because many people blame people like you who speak for the president or try to explain government policies. They accuse you and others of telling him lies, making him think everything is fine. So our president basically, in the minds of many Nigerians, lives in a bubble, doesn't quite know what's going on with us.
And I'm asking those people that, is IMF also lying to him? Is World Bank also lying to him? Is companies like Shell that left our country 5 years ago that said our oil and gas industry had no future, and they pulled out, sold their assets to Renaissance. The same Shell MD Global came to Nigeria in February and said, simply because of the economic reforms this president has put in place, that Nigeria has become one of the most attractive investment destinations for Shell Global. And because of that, Shell promised to come back to Nigeria to invest $20 billion in our economy. Is he also lying to President Tinubu? The largest hotel chain in the entire world, as I speak to you, they are in Nigeria. They are building the first of many they want to do. 27-story building, hotel apartment. The first of its kind in Nigeria. Are they also aligned to President Tinubu? The largest hotel chain, the second largest supermarket chain in France, fourth largest in Europe. They've opened a couple of stores. They want to open across the entire cities in Nigeria. Are they also aligned to President Tinubu? Is that a Bafemi John talking? No. Let's be sincere. See, let me tell you something. What has happened? And I quite understand. That's why those comments, they don't move me. The lies on social media have drowned the voice of the good work of what President is doing. And that is the fundamental problem. That is the fundamental problem. It is not the absence of good works. And that's why global agencies who are unbiased, who are unpartisan, that's why they are coming and giving kudos to him, saying that what you are doing is a landmark economic achievement.
We're going to short break. When we come back, of course, it is Democracy Day. So we'll be talking about our democracy, 1993 versus 2027. And then taking a look at some of the other issues that you have raised, especially the accusations against the president when it comes to decimating our political parties. So please stay with us on Hard Copy. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Hard Copy. If you just joined us, Mr. Bafemi George is our guest tonight, political scientist and chieftain of the APC. Thanks again for being with us on the program.
My pleasure, Kayla.
All right, so let's talk about it. Democracy. 2027 is just around the corner. People are drawing parallels between what the elections are going to be like in 2027 and what we had in 1993. A totally different country for many people who are watching, saying, you know, at the time in 1993, we weren't as divided. Poverty wasn't as weaponized. And now we're moving into an election where the quality of life of the Nigerian has drastically reduced in terms of what they earn, not what the World Bank says we're doing, in terms of what they have in their pockets, what their ability to spend in the market, what they're able to use to feed their families and pay rent and all of these things. So we're dealing with a difficult country with people who are struggling. And at the same time, we're looking at weaponized poverty, where now that level of poverty has turned people into monsters, where the patriotism that is necessary for our democracy is lacking in many ways. Do you agree with this assertion, or do you think things are better right now?
Kayla, we're presently facing a global economic turmoil. The crisis in Iran is affecting the entire world. So this is not peculiar to Nigeria alone. And don't get it twisted. We're all in this together. Okay? I'm a businessman. I've been a ritual for over 25 years. When I sent my son to go to school in 2023 in the United States, I was buying $1 for 500 naira. Today, I know how much I'm paying. Okay, to fund it. So we're all in this together. If anybody has the illusion that, oh, it's only the poor that's been affected, as a matter of fact, it's bigger on the rich. Because when the value of Naira crashed in 2023, when the president floated it, which is one of the decisions, however, that they've celebrated, because that's why investors are coming back. When that happened, many unicorns declared loss because of that. But let's unpack that.
Wait, hold on, before we move on, you stepped into that one all by yourself. Your son is in, you're not like most Nigerians where you can send your child abroad to school. Most Nigerians can't afford to do that. So for many Nigerians who just heard you say that, they'll be thinking, this man is not like us and doesn't understand us.
Okay, so the reason why I could do that is because I've also grown a profitable business in a growing economy. Okay? So, and I tell people that if you live by the negative things you hear or you read, you see, you will miss the opportunities in the Nigerian economy. Because in this same economy, young men are building fintech company. The largest fintech company in Africa today is built by Nigeria, from Nigeria, in Nigeria. There are opportunities abound everywhere.
So the ones that are complaining are just not, they're not applying themselves.
I encourage them. You see, why do you think investors are rushing in? I was appealing to the youth today on a program. I said, if care is not taken, what will happen in Nigeria in 10 years' time is what we see in South Africa. I said, when South Africa's economy was booming, South Africans were still blaming appetite. Whereas Nigerians were moving in, Ghanaians were moving in, seizing the opportunity. Now they woke up one day and they realized that, oh my God, foreigners are controlling everything. Now you have xenophobic attack. And I'm saying, guys, don't be distracted by the negative noise. This is an economy that is about to experience multidimensional prosperity. Based on what is on ground, based on what global agencies have said, why do you think these companies are rushing in? Don't be left out. Skill up and seize the opportunity. That's my message to the youth. That's, by the way, you are comparing 1993 democracy to present-day democracy, and people are blaming President Tinubu, saying you can't even draw a parallel. Killer, people know President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. People know Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Some people knew, maybe those that are in their 20s, know former governor of Lagos State. But they don't know Comrade Bola Ahmed Tinubu. They didn't know a Bola Tinubu who in 1993, 94, 95, 96, this same democracy you're talking about, they don't know a Comrade Bola Ahmed Tinubu that went to pour sand on 3rd Mainland Bridge to cause traffic, just to make sure that they takes on the military government. They didn't know a Comrade Bola Ahmed Tinubu who, with his own personal money, at the risk of his life, at the risk of his wife's life, at the risk of his children's life, fought the military. You know, there was a time in this country, during those Nadeco days, whereby for the likes of Tinubu, he wakes up today in Ikeja. He sleeps in Anthony Village. He wakes up in Anthony Village, he sleeps in Surulere, carrying bags, living as a fugitive because guess what? As Hamza Mustafa is chasing him up and down. They don't know the struggle that this man was part of to make sure that we have this democracy. They don't know him. They don't. And anybody accusing him that, no, he's the one decimating opposition parties, no, that is lying behind the finger.
How is that a lie?
How
is that a lie? We've heard people that work for him say, no,
Kayla,
stay there and scatter them. We've heard people that work for him say this.
Because opposition party has failed Nigeria. Opposition parties has failed Nigeria. And I'll tell you what. Selfish ambition is why they've all gone array. I told in March, when they all congregated and formed ADC, I told a friend, jokingly, I said, ADC is Atiku Democratic Congress. I said, I give you end of May. All of them won't be together. He said, why? I said, they lack the leadership capacity that Tinubu has. And they said, what do I mean? And I'll tell you what. Opposition party thrives when the leaders are willing to sacrifice their personal ambition. Twice Tinubu did that. In 2007, when the PDP were leaving, PDP was in control of 31 states. 31. ANPP was in control of 4 states. Lagos State was the only state in opposition. President Tinubu was the last man standing in the opposition party. And he wanted to contest for Senate. But he knew that if he had gone ahead contesting for Senate, he would have lost Lagos State. That would have been the end of opposition party in Nigeria. You know what he did? He sacrificed his personal ambition for the sake of an opposition party. And he told Senator Ganiu Solomon, I will step down, you go. That's what a leader does. Tell me any of these leaders who has been able to do that. And he went into the trenches and he began to build an opposition from one party, one state in 2007. By 2011, ACN, which was the only opposition in 2007, had gained 6 states. In 2015, again, I say to you, when the amalgamation was created with CPC and they formed APC, he wanted to be on the ballot. And he had every right to be on the ballot. He wanted to be vice presidential candidate to President Muhammadu Buhari. And he had the right to do so because he practically single-handedly built opposition party. But they told him, if you do, we will lose the election. For the second time in 8 years, he sacrificed his personal ambition, tearfully and painfully, and said, okay, you know what? Let one of my proteges, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, let him take my position. Tell me which of these candidates have stepped down and sacrificed their ambition. Everybody wants to be a presidential candidate, and they keep jumping from one party to another. And they're not blaming President Tinubu. No, they lack what he has. They lack the leadership capacity. If they truly love Nigeria, they will have sacrificed their presidential ambition. No one was willing to do that. And you're now blaming that he's one decimated opposition party. Hell no, it's not true. That's not true. When ADC started having crisis, and they said, oh, Obafemi, your party has infiltrated ADC. I was on a show, and I brought a judgment, a copy of a judgment that was given in this Abuja. Justice Binta, I've forgotten her name. Inyako. That judgment was delivered, Kela, was delivered 28th of December, 2022. Front page, these day newspapers, 21st of December. Anybody watching can go online right now and go and look at it. 21st of December, court sacks ADC chairman, Nwosu. So I asked them, are you telling me that As of December 2022, President Tinubu was already destroying opposition party. Come on. Okay. Fundamental issue. The most important issue that has led to upsurge. It started in 2022, a year before President Tinubu came in. And it's simply because all the Francophone countries in the Sahel region that broke military ties with France and French soldiers left that entire region. Guess what happened? Global terrorism moved in. And that's why that the terrorist that was killed last month, the second most wanted terrorist in the world, number 2, ISIS Global.
He lived in Nigeria.
Lived in Nigeria.
We're still trying to understand that as a people.
And do you know why he lived in Nigeria? Because all of a sudden, the entire Sahel region has now become the base for Al-Qaeda, for Boko Haram, for Lakurawa, for ISIS. So what we are dealing with...
And we have a government.
And what we are dealing
we have
with
security agencies. Somehow, problem. Number 2 of that level of terrorism lived in Nigeria with our level of governance, with our level of security, with the amount of people that we have that President Tinubu has put in office.
And was killed.
Yes, but he was living here.
Killer and was killed. Do you know what it means to kill number 2 ISIS globally? In partnership with the US government? Do you think that's a mean feat? That a whole president of the United States went on X and posted it? Do you think that's a small thing? No, it's not. And kudos should be given to the government because this is not the first time US government wanted to partner with us. They tried in 2014. They pulled out. You know why they pulled out? I want to tell you how they pulled out. Go and research the comment of Professor Bolaji Akeyemi, who told us that in 2014, when the Chibok girls were abducted, this same US Army, African Command Center, knew where those girls were, and they're going to assist us to rescue them. And that they flew a drone, and they saw where they were, and that they agreed with the Nigerian soldier that, you know what, we'll spray gas, all of them will fall asleep.
We know this.
And the following morning, we'll go and rescue them. Killer, they got there the following morning.
Everyone was wearing
Boko Haram was wearing gas masks.
Yeah, we heard this story.
And they pulled out. So shouldn't you give credit to a president who is successfully partnering with the same US government?
Okay.
Shouldn't we?
We do have to wrap up. But as we wrap up, talk to the Nigerian people. What should they expect from your principal?
Every country has a peculiar security issue. Either it is terrorism, either it is drug war, either it is gun violence. But they don't pull their country down. United States, in the same period, United States, God's own country, recorded 14,705 casualties, the people that died to gun violence. They will not come back and tell you that, oh, America is finished, America is dead. No, they will tell you, Kayla, this is God's own country. God bless America, home of the brave, land of the free. So as Nigerians, yes, this is painful, this is heartbreaking, that people are dying. But see, we need to rally around the Nigerian flag and rally around the office of the president, irrespective of who sits on that chair. We are not the only country facing peculiar. This is peculiar to us.
Okay.
And we will come out of this.
We do need to go right now, but thank you so much.
My pleasure, Kayla. It's been nice chatting with you.
Be with us on Hard Copy.
My pleasure.
Happy Democracy Day. And good luck.
Happy Democracy Day to all of us.
And good luck with all the work I know you have ahead of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's Hard Copy this week. I'm Kayla Megwa. Good night.